Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to be showing a couple of options for the new Alliance Coliseum boss fight, which is Arcade. So he is very tricky. He can parry you. He also has rotating immunities between stun immunity, slow immunity, and heal block immunity. And then he's just Arcade, so he can kind of be a bit of a pain in the butt. So I've got two attempts to showcase here for you. Not the ones that I feel like have been discussed for the most part on other channels. Serpent here does have a tag for the fight and is very consistent. He's got so much easy access to specials, and he also has an ability to bypass the auto block that Arcade can do when you throw a special into his block. It's going to block break and then is going to remove Arcade's tokens, and that makes it pretty safe where you can just go ahead and you don't have to worry about getting as many heavy attacks against him. So you got to watch out. Right now, Arcade is stun immune. It just switched to slow immunity, and he parried me, of course, with that auto block. With Serpent, I want to go ahead and activate an SP3. That's going to get me into my Dread aura, and then I'm going to be able to start ramping a little bit more quickly, which is going to help me do more damage over the course of the fight. If you can dex Arcade's specials, it does make the fight a decent bit easier, but here he's got that stun immunity, and after the SP2 he always gets 3 Arcade tokens. So what I like to do is just bait out a heavy attack and then counter with my own heavy. As long as he has 1 token, he's not going to be auto-blocking you. And there, I'm just able to block break him again, get rid of his other token, and then bait out another SP2. This is a pretty tricky dex. I find the way that I can keep track of it more easily is if I'm watching Arcade, and when he does kind of like the shift forward with the lever that he's activating to send out those buzzsaws, that's when I start to dex. So you're kind of dexing a little bit earlier than you feel like you normally should. Here now I want to get rid of these Arcade tokens again if possible. Damage is getting pretty good now. And there's another dex of the SP2, hit him with the heavy to get rid of those tokens, and then block break him to get rid of the last one. Serpent does have a pretty easy access to a stand-up light intercept, so that is able to kind of help extend my combos and push him to an SP2. I don't mind dexing the SP1, but I don't love it either. I just find it to be a little bit tricky. Like all of Arcade specials, honestly. But Arcade does feel a bit more like one of those classic defenders where the main threat of the fight is the auto block and then dexing those specials. Another SP2 dex. I hope that you're able to get it as well. Like I said, try to watch out for that moment when he like yanks on that that lever. That's going to start activating those buzzsaws, and then I try to dash back. 1, 2, 3. That time I do get clipped with it, and that is going to be one of the things that's going to get us closer to ending this fight. And I've activated the depth immunity, just going to try to push as much damage out as I can at this point, but I'm basically dead. Been a tricky like Alliance Coliseum fight for the most part. Like I'm having a hard time personally getting over 5 health bars with this one. But Serpent did do a pretty good job, and now let's go ahead and move on to my next option that I'm going to show today, and that is Count Nefaria. Now, Count Nefaria gives 2 tags for this fight, I believe, and It is. I will be fully upfront. It is not a fast fight, but Count Nefaria does have a few things in his favor that are going to help get you through it. So firstly, what he has is very easy access to regeneration. He also has a great deal of energy resistance, and he can get full resistance to shocks and incinerates. And that is going to make him much more durable than your regular champion in this fight, and he's able to sustain. I actually end up going the full 7 minutes through this fight and time out instead of dying. Now, ideally, you want to try to be getting into Ionic Overcharge mode as often as possible so that you're going to be able to activate your SP2s and get your passive Furies, and that's going to help you hit as much as possible, or hit as hard as possible, I should say. But Count Nefaria isn't going to be getting the benefit of his Incinerate damage over time from the SP2 because Arcade is Incinerate immune, and that does make it a much slower fight as a result. One of the other benefits that Count Nefaria brings is that he is able to get a well-timed counterattack on the SP1 of Arcade. So here, I always try to dash back, and as long as I don't take the hit right there like I just did, if you can time your parry at the moment that Arcade is shooting out that energy beam, by the end of it, you're actually going to activate Nefaria's counterattack, and if you can dash right back in, here you can see that I just did that, you're going to place an energy vulnerability debuff on Arcade, and that's going to help ramp up your damage a little bit and help keep it so that you're doing a little bit better than you would without getting any of those damage over time effects that you would normally get. Accidentally throw the SP2 into block there, not ideal. He hits me with an SP2. Luckily, Count Nefaria, again, I have the resistance to those incinerates and the shocks. I'm also bleed immune, so I'm not taking damage over time as much as a normal character would. And here you can see the healing in action. When you're higher on health, the healing isn't as pronounced as it is when you're low, but I mean, it can get very, very effective. Nefaria has a very hard time dying. Can dodge the SP1 poison dash, get the punish, to get the energy vulnerability debuff up. And now I've got 14 passive furies. Do a hit. Again, like I'd said before, it's not a particularly fast fight, but it is consistent, and you are able to get through bars. And back into Ionic Overcharge mode I go. I'm just blocking the hits of the first two beams, and then you can get the well-timed counter evade on that other one, on the third beam, not beam, the blade, but have a hard time getting back in and punishing that special attack to get the energy vulnerability debuff up, so I find it's a little bit better to bait out the SP1s. Even getting the counterattack there, it did trigger the auto block, but because it was non-contact, I didn't end up getting parried, which is great. I'm going to hit another SP1, I want to try to keep my Ionic Overcharge battery as full as possible, because I'd rather stay in Ionic mode whenever it's possible in this fight. There again, the non-contact hits are saving me because I'll trigger the auto block parry and I don't actually get stunned. There, punish again and get the energy vulnerability debuff. About 3.5 bars in now. Like I said, slow fight, but we're able to get through it. Now we have a second energy vulnerability debuff. We get the full 15 passive Furies there with that SP2. Because of all the counterattacks, we're also getting a decent amount of block regeneration, which is one of the beneficial nodes here. The counter evade does sometimes count as an intercept, and as a result, we are getting that passive quite a bit, so that is also helping us with a little bit of block regeneration. That time we did not get the energy vulnerability, but back up to the 15 passive Furies again. And just keep on keeping on. We have 1 minute left of the fight, and we are about to time out here at the end of it. I'd love to hear from you for the other options that you're taking in. I'm very interested to see who else we get for podium tags over the course of the next 2 days, and I want to wish you all the very best of luck getting through this very challenging boss fight. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you did. Please subscribe to the channel, and please leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you and learn more and get to just participate in the community together. That is going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.